Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're tuning in right now, you are likely someone who pays attention to what you put on your plate.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but our topic today is it actually fundamentally challenges how we evaluate our grocery lists because we're moving away from just the simple math of nutrition labels.
Right. The whole macro counting mindset.
Exactly. So we are relying on this really comprehensive July 2026 report. It was published by the My Whole Foods research team, and it's titled The Science of Food Synergy, Master Combinations for Maximum Nutrient Uptake.
Which is a fantastic report, by the way.
It really is. And the primary mission of our discussion today is shifting your focus, as the listener, from tracking what you eat to understanding what your body actually absorbs.
Yeah, and the distinction between those two concepts is, well, it's the entire foundation of clinical nutrition.
Right.
We tend to view our digestive tract as this, passive funnel. There's this really pervasive assumption that if you swallow a highly nutritious food, your body just simply absorbs 100% of those nutrients automatically.
Which is such a comforting idea, isn't it? I mean, it feels like balancing a checkbook. You look at a nutrition label, you count your macros down to the gram, you eat the recommended serving of whatever the current trending botanical extract is.
Right, exactly.
And you just assume you've deposited all that value into your biological bank account.
Yeah, but reading through that My Whole Foods report, that spreadsheet mentality completely falls apart.
It really does. I actually want to frame this with an analogy for you listening right now. Imagine ordering a bunch of incredibly expensive high-end packages online.
Okay, I like this.
You track the shipping, they arrive at your house perfectly on time, but you just leave them sitting out on your porch, and they all get stolen. I mean, they never actually make it inside the house.
That paints a very, very accurate picture of biological value versus sheer intake.
Right. You bought the expensive items, but you just didn't secure them.
Exactly. Because the biological reality is that the human gastrointestinal tract is this highly complex, selectively permeable barrier.
Okay, selectively permeable.
Yeah, it's incredibly discerning about what it actually allows into your systemic circulation.
So it's acting more like a strict bouncer at a club than a welcoming open door.
Precisely. Nutrients do not operate in a vacuum. To get past that barrier and actually cross the epithelial lining of your intestines, those molecules often need to be actively transported.
Wow.
Or sometimes they need to be chemically altered in real time within the gut, or, they need to be bound to specific carrier molecules before your body will even accept them.
And that introduces this core concept of food synergy. Because the biological value of a nutrient is just profoundly dictated by the other compounds you consume alongside it, right?
Exactly. If you pair the right things together, you alter the entire digestive environment.
So you can change the pH of the gut or stimulate necessary digestive enzymes.
Or provide the exact transport vehicles those nutrients need to get past the bouncer.
Right.
Understanding these master combinations is really the key to unlocking the actual therapeutic potential of your diet. Otherwise, you're rather just, generating really expensive waste.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the first major hurdle the report tackles shattered a lot of conventional diet advice for me. They call it the fat-soluble matrix.
Yes, the fat-soluble matrix.
So let's look at a practical scenario. If I'm trying to eat a remarkably clean diet, right, and I make myself this massive, totally dry salad of raw spinach, tomatoes, and bell peppers, like without a single drop of fat or dressing on it to be healthy, am I actually missing out on the benefits of those vegetables?
Oh, you are leaving a vast percentage of their most critical health-promoting compounds sitting on the porch.
Are you serious?
The bulk of those specific nutrients will pass straight through your digestive tract, entirely unabsorbed.
The dry salad tragedy? I feel like generations of people forcing down dry lettuce just like they need a formal apology.
They really do.
So let's break down the mechanics of why that happens. Is it a physical barrier in the plant, or is it a chemical issue in our gut?
It's fundamentally a chemical mismatch. So vegetables like carrots, tomatoes, dark leafy greens, they contain a massive class of phytonutrients known as carotenoids.
Carotenoids, okay.
Yeah, these are the vibrant pigments that give plants their deep red, orange, and yellow hues. So the beta-carotene in carrots, the lycopene in tomatoes, the lutein hidden in spinach.
And the report points out these are like the heavy hitters for our health.
Oh, absolutely.
They're vital antioxidants for protecting cellular DNA, maintaining vision, and reducing systemic inflammation. So we definitely want these getting inside the house.
Right, we definitely do. But here is the chemical mismatch. Carotenoids are lipophilic.
Meaning they're fat-soluble.
Exactly. They absolutely refuse to mix with water. Now, consider the environment of your stomach and intestines.
Well, it's a highly aqueous, watery environment.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's like trying to mix oil and vinegar in a dressing bottle. They just separate. When I eat that dry salad, what is physically happening to those carotenoids?
Well, without any dietary fat in that meal, your gallbladder does not receive the biochemical signal to release bile.
Oh, interesting.
And bile acids act very much like dish soap in a greasy pan. They emulsify these fat-soluble nutrients, breaking them down into microscopic, water-soluble spheres called micelles.
Micelles. I'm picturing those as like tiny water-friendly submarines.
That is actually a highly functional way to look at it, because it's only within these micelle submarines that carotenoids can successfully navigate across the watery barrier of the intestinal cell.
And actually get absorbed into the bloodstream.
Exactly. So if there's no fat in the meal, there's no trigger for the bile, no micelles are formed.
Wow.
The carotenoids remain locked in the plant matrix and simply exit the body.
I want to look at the numbers in the clinical data because they are staggering. The studies in the report show that consuming that exact same salad with a healthy lipid-rich source, I think they specifically suggest a generous drizzle of high-quality extra virgin olive oil or maybe half a fresh avocado.
Yeah, either of those works perfectly.
It skyrockets the bioavailability of carotenoids by over 400%.
A fourfold increase in absorption just by adding a spoonful of oil.
That is wild. So the dietary lipid, the olive oil, is essentially acting as a highly efficient VIP transport vehicle. It pulls up to the club, flashes a badge to the bouncer, and ferries those antioxidants directly inside.
Right, you aren't changing the volume of nutrients on your plate at all. You're just vastly changing the percentage that makes it into your system.
And you're working with the physiology of your gut rather than assuming it'll just figure it out on its own.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean when a plant actively tries to lock its nutrients away from us?
Right.
Because getting fat-soluble vitamins past a watery barrier is one thing. But the My Whole Foods data spends a lot of time on plant-based minerals, too.
It does.
And iron is a foundational mineral. We need it to synthesize hemoglobin, transport oxygen throughout the entire body. So why is it notoriously difficult to absorb iron from plant sources like spinach and lentils compared to animal products?
Well, this brings up the critical importance of chemical valence states. Animal products contain heme iron, which the human body finds very, very easy to absorb.
Okay.
But plant-based foods contain non-heme iron.
Let me stop you there, because the report mentions non-heme iron exists in a ferric state.
Right.
Like chemically, it's an iron ion missing 3 electrons, written as F3+.
That +3 charge is the root of the entire problem.
Really?
Yeah, the human digestive tract strongly struggles to absorb iron in this ferric state. It essentially rejects it.
Wow.
So for us to absorb that iron, it has to be chemically reduced. It needs to gain an electron to become F2+, which is a ferrous state.
Wait, if the iron is essentially stuck in a +3 state, does throwing that spinach in a hot pan change the charge? Like, can I just cook my way out of this problem?
I mean, cooking breaks down the tough cellular walls of the plant, which makes the contents more accessible, sure. But standard cooking temperatures do not alter the atomic valence state of the iron.
Oh, man.
It remains stuck as F3+. You need a chemical reducing agent, not just thermal energy.
So the plant iron is basically a rusted key that won't turn in the lock and heat doesn't polish it.
Exactly.
And based on the report, the rusted key is really only half the battle, right? Because we also have to deal with anti-nutrients.
Yes. To compound the issue, plant foods like spinach, lentils, and beans, they naturally contain high levels of compounds called phytates and polyphenols.
Right, the anti-nutrients.
And these compounds have a strong affinity for minerals. They tightly bind to the non-heme iron, acting like a chemical cage.
Chemical cage.
Yeah, and this cage prevents absorption entirely, basically dragging the iron straight through your gastrointestinal tract.
A rusted key trapped in a chemical cage. That sounds incredibly discouraging for anyone leaning toward a plant-heavy diet.
It does sound bad, but the biochemical bridge here is surprisingly accessible.
Okay, so what's the bridge?
The ultimate key is vitamin C ascorbic acid.
Okay.
Its biochemical influence here is profound. Ascorbic acid is a highly potent reducing agent.
Meaning that when you consume vitamin C simultaneously with that stubborn plant-based iron, the vitamin C acts on it chemically.
Yes, it actively donates an electron to the ferric iron.
Wow.
It instantly converts that unabsorbable F3+ into the highly absorbable ferrous F2+ form. It polishes the key in real time during digestion.
That is a remarkable mechanism.
Yeah.
But what about the phytate cage? Does the vitamin C address that as well?
It actually serves a dual purpose. In the highly acidic environment of your stomach, vitamin C forms a stable, soluble complex around the iron molecule.
Oh, so it protects it.
Exactly. It essentially creates a protective shield, physically blocking those inhibitory phytates and polyphenols from binding to the iron in the first place.
It polishes the key and breaks the cage.
It really does.
And the practical application of this is incredibly straightforward. The report notes that adding a simple squeeze of fresh lemon juice or, tossing a handful of bell peppers onto a spinach salad.
Or serving citrus with lentil soup.
Right. It increases the absorption of non-heme iron by up to 3 times.
A 300% increase from just a simple citrus pairing. It remains the most effective clinical strategy for maintaining healthy iron stores on a plant-heavy diet.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because vitamin C provides the shield for iron. But what happens to the other critical minerals trapped by those exact same phytates?
Ah, yes.
I am specifically looking at zinc. If phytic acid in whole grains and legumes is like a massive defensive lineman trying to tackle our zinc before it reaches the bloodstream,
Which it is.
what can we use as a blocker to clear the path?
Well, zinc absorption has puzzled nutritionists for a long time. It is absolutely non-negotiable for human health. It drives immune function, DNA synthesis, cellular repair, but getting it out of whole grains, legumes, and nuts is severely compromised by those same phytate complexes. The phytic acid binds to the zinc and makes it insoluble.
Which is why, for decades, the default advice was just to take synthetic zinc supplements, right? Or spend 3 days doing elaborate soaking and fermentation techniques just to eat a bowl of beans.
Right. And those methods work, don't get me wrong, but groundbreaking research has revealed a much more elegant whole food blocker, and it's found in the allium family of vegetables.
Okay, the allium family. We are talking about garlic and onions.
Yes, exactly. These pungent, aromatic bulbs are rich in unique, volatile, sulfur-containing compounds.
Let me challenge that for a second, though. If I'm looking for these sulfur compounds, does it have to be a fresh clove of garlic? What if someone just uses a dash of garlic powder from a jar that's been sitting in their pantry for 2 years? Does that still act as a blocker?
That distinction matters immensely, actually. The volatile sulfur compounds, specifically allicin and its derivatives, they are highly reactive. They degrade over time or under extreme commercial processing.
Ah, so the powder is dead.
Pretty much. You might get a fraction of residual benefit from an old powder, but for the robust zinc-binding effects shown in the clinical trials, you really need fresh or recently cooked garlic and onions where those sulfur networks are chemically active.
Okay, so assuming we are using fresh garlic and onions, how do those active sulfur networks actually outmaneuver the phytates?
When you consume active alliums alongside zinc-rich whole grains or legumes, those sulfur compounds rush into the digestive environment and they actively bind to the zinc ions first.
They outcompete the defensive lineman.
Exactly. By binding to the zinc, the sulfur creates a new complex that the phytic acid simply cannot latch onto.
Wow.
The sulfur acts as the lead blocker, escorting the zinc safely past the anti-nutrients and delivering it directly to the intestinal wall for absorption.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and clinical trials clearly demonstrate that adding robust amounts of garlic and onions to a meal increases the cellular uptake of zinc by over 50%.
Just from incorporating aromatics into the pan.
Just from that, yeah.
This makes me stop and reevaluate the broader implications of all this clinical data.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at these master combinations in a lab setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pairing healthy fats with vibrant greens, bridging plant iron with a squeeze of citrus, unlocking the zinc in grains and legumes with a heavy base of garlic and onions.
Right. And when you zoom out from the microscopic level, you start to realize that what we are describing is the exact blueprint of historical global cuisines.
I am so fascinated by that intersection of taste and biology, because these aren't sterile discoveries cooked up in a laboratory yesterday.
Not at all.
This clinical pharmacokinetics data is validating centuries of culinary tradition. People hundreds of years ago didn't have microscopes. They had no concept of a ferric state or a micelle. But they inherently figured out how to combine foods to maximize energy and feel nourished.
It makes perfect sense when you consider the historical reality of food scarcity.
Right.
Maximizing the biological value of every single meal was absolutely critical for survival. And the My Whole Foods report synthesizes these cultural examples beautifully.
Yeah, that does.
Consider the foundational practices of the Mediterranean diet. The core culinary mechanism there is drenching massive salads of fresh raw vegetables in high-quality extra virgin olive oil.
They're utilizing the lipid matrix to unlock the carotenoids in the tomatoes and greens.
Exactly. Or examine Middle Eastern traditions. You are almost always served a fresh lemon wedge to squeeze over falafel or hummus, which are dense chickpea-based foods.
The vitamin C ascorbic acid bridge, chemically reducing the plant iron from the legumes so their bodies could actually utilize it.
And if you look at Indian cuisine or Latin American cuisines, you rarely ever cook a pot of lentils, beans, or rice without first building a robust aromatic flavor base of heavily cooked onions and garlic.
The allium advantage. They were using those fresh sulfur compounds to block the phytates and ensure they absorbed the zinc. It is just mind-blowing to realize that flavor profiles across the globe were largely driven by physiological benefit. Like, they paired what tasted good together, but the reason it tasted so good and became a staple was because it worked together on a cellular level.
It really prompts a vital question for anyone listening today regarding how they construct their own meals.
Definitely.
The takeaway here is incredibly empowering. You don't necessarily need to overhaul your life or buy a cabinet full of expensive, isolated supplements.
Yeah.
By consciously constructing your meals based on this traditional wisdom, which again is now completely backed by clinical science, you ensure maximum health and resilience from the groceries you are already buying.
It is about optimizing the inventory you already have in your kitchen.
Exactly.
So for everyone listening, let's quickly recap these master synergies so you can put them into practice during your next meal. Rule number 1. The dry salad tragedy ends today. Pair your vibrant greens and red vegetables with healthy fats like olive oil or avocado to build the necessary micelle transport vehicles for your antioxidants.
Rule number 2, always bridge your plant-based iron. If you're eating spinach, lentils, or beans, add a squeeze of fresh lemon juice or some bell peppers. You have to polish that iron key and shield it from the phytate cages.
And rule number 3, unlock your grains and legumes with garlic and onions. Rely on those aromatic sulfur compounds to block the phytic acid so you can actually absorb your zinc. The ultimate goal here is to maximize your internal biological value, right? We want to work with the selectively permeable barrier of the gut, not against it.
It requires honoring the complexity of the digestive system rather than trying to force a spreadsheet model onto human biology.
Beautifully said. But before we wrap up, there is one final, highly provocative thought tucked away in the recent insights sidebar of this My Whole Foods report. And it's something I want you, the listener, to mull over the next time you open your pantry.
Oh, the data regarding the spice rack.
Yes, because now you know how lemon unlocks iron and how olive oil transports your carotenoids. But consider the biochemical secrets that might be hiding in plain sight in your everyday seasonings.
This part is fascinating.
Based on the data, the active compound in standard black pepper, a molecule called piperine, it exponentially increases the absorption of other crucial nutrients in the body. And it does this through an entirely different mechanism than what we've discussed so far.
Yeah, it doesn't just work in the localized environment of the gut. It actually actively alters the behavior of your liver enzymes.
I want to make sure I understand that mechanism. How does a pinch of black pepper change what the liver is doing to keep nutrients circulating in our blood?
So your liver functions as a massive filtration system, right?
Okay.
When nutrients or foreign compounds enter the bloodstream, liver enzymes immediately begin a process called glucuronidation.
Glucuronidation.
Yeah. The liver essentially attaches a tag to these molecules, marking them to be rapidly excreted in your urine. Piperine temporarily inhibits those specific liver enzymes.
Oh, so it slows down the tagging process.
It significantly slows it down. By inhibiting that phase of liver detoxification, piperine allows beneficial compounds, like, say, the curcumin found in turmeric or various vitamins, to remain circulating in your bloodstream for a much longer period.
Amplifying their biological effect.
Precisely.
It is a profound biological catalyst, and it is just sitting right next to the salt shaker on almost every dining table.
It really is.
It makes you wonder what other simple pinches of seasoning are actually waiting to be unlocked in your next meal. You know, we started this deep dive talking about ordering expensive packages and leaving them on the porch to be stolen. Food synergy is the key to the front door. You've paid for the nutrients, you've done the work of bringing them home. Now it is time to make sure they actually get inside.